Another week of our Google News Lab training. My name is Michael Grant, a teaching fellow with the Google News Lab, and I'd like to welcome you to a Thursday afternoon training in environmental journalism. So we're now in our 5th week of live training on YouTube, and we're excited to share these trainings with journalists through the convenience of live stream. So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to share with you a number of tools and resources, and you can follow along in your browser. Simply take a note of the URLs that you're interested in visiting. You can also rewatch this live training because they're being recorded. And anything you don't catch can be revisited at your own convenience. So the GNI is Google's effort to build a stronger future for journalism. And my work is as a teaching fellow. So you'll notice that we have 3 pillars. The first is to elevate and strengthen quality journalism, evolve business models to drive sustainable growth, and to empower news organizations through technological innovation. So normally I go around the country training newsrooms, and it's on-site, but due to circumstances, we've moved our trainings to the format of online. So we'd love to hear from you if you're interested in doing a training in your newsroom. My email address is grantmichael@google.com. And so you can arrange for these these Hangout trainings, or you can come and join us each or every other week on Thursdays at this time, and we'll kind of a deep dive into a specific topic. But that's one way that we're elevating and strengthening quality journalism. Another way is to evolve business models, and we're doing that through building technology with a specific function for journalism. So Subscribe with Google is one of those really awesome tools that we've built in more recent years. And then we empower news organizations through technological innovation, and that includes some of the challenge grants that you've seen around. And so we'd love for you to apply for those, and we'd love to support new and exciting projects. So today we're going to talk about environmental journalism. So climate change is a growing beat, and you don't have to take my word for it. Columbia Journalism Review did an analysis of over 1,200 climate stories published around the world between 2017 and 2019. Audiences spent twice as much time reading these stories. So clearly there's a demand for story journalism. I mean, from the fires in Australia to the fires right here in California. I'm here in Menlo Park, and I can tell you that it was incredibly scary to see the fires in recent years here and how close they've come to some of the places where I frequent. So with that in mind, we wanted to introduce you to tools that could help you find stories to tell about the environment. So Google has built a suite of tools around our efforts in sustainability. And if you take a trip to sustainability.google, that is a URL, you can find a really great set of resources. So you can read about Google's efforts to protect the environment, and you can review data and reports and discover ways to help our planet. And there's also plenty here for journalists to explore as well. So at sustainability.google, you can navigate to a rich set of tools. In this presentation, we'll focus on 2 of those tools. One of them is the Environmental Insights Tracker, and the other is Plan Your Plan. First, we'll have a look at the Environmental Insights Explorer. This tool allows users to explore greenhouse gas emissions for a growing list of cities. I'd like to share with you just a few interesting things about this. At the moment, there's 120 cities shown in this tool, but the plan is to add more, and you can even request your own city's data. And the goal is for users to be able to observe different metrics, and those include estimates, emissions, and reductions. And we're making this data freely available as we collect it. So here's a snapshot of the interface. And the tool shows a number of different metrics here. So as you can see on the column is building emissions and transportation emissions. And this is actually where I live here in Menlo Park. And on the right side, you can see rooftop solar potential. And so there's a number of ways that you can sort of navigate this interface. And we'll go ahead and take a deeper moment. But the data is modeled on the actual movements of infrastructure and is taken from Google Maps. And we're applying machine learning to understand how people are moving around so that we can arrive at these estimates. So not only can you explore the data, you can also edit and change parameters in that data, which gives us some really interesting insights. So let's just say if we if we added a new bike lane and took more vehicles off the road, to what extent those changes can impact transformation emissions for the better. So let's go ahead and navigate over to this environmental insight. Okay, so this is the landing page for the project, and all you have to do to get started is to click in this very familiar search bar, and I'm going to go ahead and type in Menlo Park. And one thing that I'll do since I'm in the United States is hit this gear, and so we're seeing measurements in kilometers currently, but I'm going to turn on imperial measurements, and now I can see measurements in square miles. And so again, here are our options of data that we can explore for building emissions, transportation emissions, and rooftop solar potential. When you're first navigating to the page, there are some really helpful tool tips. So I encourage you to read through these so you can get more context. But right now it's telling us that we can explore and customize the data. And when I say customize, that means that we can add or subtract from different categories in the data in order to see a positive or negative impact. I also encourage you to click on the circle eyes right here, the circular eye icon, because those also give us some really useful information about the data that we're seeing. So when you see this TCO2e/year, that is metric tons of carbon dioxide, and that's the measurement for it. So just a heads up, if you want to kind of level up your ability to read and understand the data, you can navigate to these circle icons here. We get a summary of the details at a glance, and we also get a little bit of information about how we can access the data. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click into explore the data for transportation emissions. And what we can see here is an overview of different data points here. And so we share our methodology as well down here about this data. And you'll notice another set of toggle switches. So we have inbound, outbound, and in-boundary emissions. So inbound is our cars or transportation sources that are coming into the city, and outbound is going out of the city. And in boundary means transportation services that are occurring inside of the boundary of Menlo Park. So by adjusting the values, let's just say I increased cycling by 100%, and I took half the vehicles off the road, then we would only be producing 8,550 metric tons. And so it's pretty significant just how much change we can establish. And so for those who are interested in range of things, you can pull from this data and then maybe compare years at a glance, for instance, or if there are fewer automobiles on the road for some reason or another, maybe an incentivized California order or more electric cars, for instance, then these kinds of things lead to very interesting reporting as communicating the impact of these things that, these shift behavior. All right, so going back over to our presentation here. So at sustainability.google, you can also find the Your Plan, Your Planet tool. And this is where you can find a rich interactive learning experience. So users can observe how everyday decisions can benefit the So here's the landing page of Your Plan, Your Planet. And with simple tools from California Academy of Sciences and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, you'll learn how behaviors can have a real impact with positive implications for our. So let's check it out. All right. So by going to Your Plan, Your Planet, sustainability.google, you'll land on this page, and it tells us how small changes can make a big impact on our planet. So we'll hit the Let's Get Started button. And now we're seeing your interface from the slide. So I'll start with the water. Let's check that one out. And it says, try simple tricks to make every drop count. The animations are beautiful here, and it's really engaging. So make every drop count. The average American family uses 300 gallons of water each day. Pools in a year. Learn things you can do at home to cut down on water waste. All right, so I'm a little personal, and as I interact with this thing, I'm going to share a little bit of information about me. All right, so how many minutes is your usual shower? Well, being transparent, I'm going to tell you that I've mastered the 7-minute shower. So in 1 year, that would fill 22 hot tubs. That's 6,388 gallons of water used. Now, I also can tell you that I'm not using a water smart shower head, but the moment that I get one, apparently, I can lower my water use by 20%. So now that's cool, I know a little bit more about how I can reduce water consumption in my own home, and there's lots more ways that we can change we live our lives in order to help sustain our planet. So it's a really fun tool, and I hope you enjoyed kind of getting a little peek, change my own habits. All right, so going back to the presentation here. So let's turn our attention to what it's like to monitor environmental impact. There are a number of tools that can help journalists track and visualize changes in our world. Using a combination of satellite imagery, sensors, and machine learning, it's now possible to analyze national and international environmental change. One source of visually rich information is the European Union's Global Search Explorer. They like to refer to themselves as a virtual time machine, and it really is. So we can take a quick look at how it works. This mapping tool does a lot under the hood. It allows you to visualize a change of availability, occurrence, and the seasonality of water at a given location and over the last 35 years. So that's a really rich historical snapshot over a year-to-year basis. Using the toggle switches that are off to the right side of the screen, you're able to kind of different types of layers and see kind of the impact of global warming and the availability of water. In this example, we can observe the amount of water in the Aral Sea since 1984, and that high intensity red that you're seeing there, that indicates severe increase in available water. Now, keeping focus on the Aral Sea, you can also use the Earth time lapse to visualize this change. And so it's really dramatic to see that, not only in a view that shows you the water loss, digitally, but this is also just a real rich snapshot of the kind of high resolution views of the land surface there. And so these kinds of time lapses have been made available at Earth Engine, and you can navigate there by going to earthengine.google.com/timelapse. So let's sequences that are available. The first thing I'm going to do is use our tool that shows us some a few curated selections of time lapses. And so you'll notice that when I go here, it's already kind of selected the Columbia Glacier Retreat. See, here we have a timeline. Here's a play button so we can pause and stop it, or we can push the left arrows to cycle through the years. And just starting at 2000 and going year over year, it's what we're seeing here in this glacier region. All right. Another cool thing, I'll make this kind of a local example. So by typing in San Francisco, let's do Bay Bridge. All right, so a little closer. And starting at 1984, as you know, the Bay Bridge suffered earthquake. So you can see where the new Bay Bridge was added. So hitting play, you can see how the new span was added, and then the removal of the old span. So let me start again. I'll go back to 2010. How about 2000? Yeah, 2001. And I'll just go ahead and hit the button here, and you can see the new span being added there, and then the removal of the old span. And lastly, we'll take a trip over to Las Vegas. This is another really interesting view because, as you might know, Las Vegas has really grown incredibly out here in the desert. And so back in 1984, this was about the size of Vegas, but you can see how dense it's become since then. I mean, that's really incredible. All right, heading back over to the presentation here. So, Global Forest Watch is a treasure trove of information. Using country level dashboards, users are shown changes in tree cover, fire alerts, and a host of other information on an interaction. You can also draw custom boundaries and analyze areas for change over time. Being introduced to this tool made me think of Freetown, Sierra Leone, which is my wife's hometown in West Africa. So in 2017, they experienced floods that marked the worst natural disaster in their history. And so I remember, trying to follow updates of the news of the landslides. And she even knows of a victim of that landslide there. And NPR did some incredible reporting about this landslide. And I just want to go and take a quick view here so you can see the magnitude. And it says, life doesn't go on after it's in Sierra Leone. And it's just an incredible story. But at the heart of the story is the idea that that construction has gone unregulated. And so, folks are picking awful areas to tear down trees and to build new construction. And as a result, it's really impacted, because it's made them more susceptible to disasters like landslide and mudslide. So one thing we can do if we wanted to explore an area like this is to jump over to the tool at forestwatch.org. So I'm heading over, and now that I'm on the dashboard, I have options to select a country globally. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Sierra Leone. You can also see that I get tooltips here as well to help me navigate. But the region that I'll pick is Western. And we're going to focus on Freetown, so Western Urban. And so I believe those landslides were somewhere around here. But you'll notice the data here that we can see tree cover lost in Western Urban, Western, and the city urban area of Sierra Leone. So we can see the difference in gain and loss. And you can explore that data further. So it's really fascinating just to kind of get a look at the data here. Also would like to point out is that we can then, let's say after we've found a place that we wanted to really focus on, we could visit the Google dataset search and run a search for Freetown mudslide. And I did that and found about 3 different data sets that were all very interesting. And so just a heads up that would be a great way to, like once you've tipped yourself to something that seems interesting in that data visually, or other data sets that might exist for a particular area that you're interested in. There's also the Forest Fires Watch. So this is fires.globalforestwatch.org/map. And this allows us to track forest fires around the world. So also just a treasure trove of... So next we'll turn our sights to monitoring the high seas. So not all environmental impact is on land. We've seen a rise in the plastic in oceans, and one of the largest industries that we know of is fishing. So to scale the fishing industry, here's a photo that really shows you what it's like to be at a port and for the number of boats that go out to fish. It's really incredible, and they're catching like millions of fish. The ICIJ previously won Pulitzers, or a Pulitzer, for their investigation into fishing. And this had to do with manual charts and logs, and was a large multi-person year-long investigation. I highly recommend that you go and search YouTube, for instance, for Looting the Seas. That headline from the ICIJ, it is just a powerful report on our system being on the brink of collapse. Very important species of fish and what they mean to the rest of our world, and how the absence of these fish just traumatic. So there is a really awesome tool in Global Fishing Watch. And so using Global Fishing Watch, it's possible to track fleets of whole countries, individual boats, and create reports and alerting. So let's go ahead and take a look at this, because you can do things like toggle layers and even track if you wanted to. So one thing that I'll mention is, it's, oh, this is not the fishing watch. Give me just a second. Oops. Here's the Global Fishing Watch. All right. So This is just a whole web application, and it's hooked into a number of different data sources, and those data sources are powering. And so you can explore a map, and I'll go ahead and click this, and it'll take us to the data viz. And here's a quick introduction about the fishing. So I encourage you to read it. And the frequently asked questions is really great because there will be some terms, if you're not familiar with the fishing industry, that you can learn about, and that'll help you better navigate and explore the data in this. So I'll go ahead and close this out, and it has me zeroed in here on like the Chilean area, and so what's really exciting is that just last year, I believe, Chile became by tracking their vessels, and so that was really big news because their waters have been used for so long, and so there's a whole market of fishing that just goes beyond what to legally do. And so this the governance of the sea is really important, and by taking the step of being transparent with data, that gets us closer to actually governing the seas and the supply of fish. So here on the right hand side, you'll see there's vessels, layers, and filters. And so filters are important for if you've got a number of details that you wanted to filter through, and that would depend on like a selection that we make. You can touch for base maps, so we can toggle different things like activity layers. Here's the fishing effort. That's the one that we probably want to pay most attention to. So you can toggle these on and off. And then vessels. This allows you to search for a specific vessel. I'm going to go ahead and so that I can look for a specific vessel. Now, it might be difficult to know where to find vessels. And so what you can do is go to the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, and they have a whole database, of all the countries that have basically signed up to be transparent with their data and share the information on. Since we're in Chile, then I can search by flags and put in Chile. And here are a number of different boats. I'll just click this Alcantara. And one thing to know is that call signs are how boats are, that we can find boats. So this is CB3834. Now I'm going to head over to Global Fishing Watch. I'm going to look for vessels, CB3834. All right. So when I click on it, I can see the activity here. Getting in closer, and as you scroll over the data points, you can see where their fishing efforts all mapped out and ready for us to explore. If we wanted more information on this particular boat, then we can click here, and we're sent to the marinetraffic.com, which gives us even more granular detail about the boat. All right. And when I say click here, that is, I have the vessel information here. It has the name, Alcantara, the flag, the MMSI, and a call sign, right? So if you click the frequently asked questions, and so let me navigate. Oh, tutorials. It's great because they have video tutorials where you can just dig in and see an introduction about the map, looking at date ranges, adding layers, incorporating your own data sets, and so on. Just a really feature-packed tool, and it's really beautiful to be able to see how boats are being tracked. See where boats might be in violation. If you see a boat that's not fishing somewhere, and it's mapped and tracked, then that's a potential for a story. All right. So that concludes our GNI live training for today. I just want to call outs. For tools and questions, feel free to email newslabsupport at google.com. If you had questions about this presentation or other tools, feel free to contact the team. We're always excited to answer your questions and point you in the right. Again, I mentioned Hangouts trainings. So the YouTube live trainings are every other week, and Maggie will do the next training, and that'll be 2 weeks from today. But if you can't be a part of those, or you want something that's a little bit more detailed, we definitely have lots of different types of trainings that we do. Feel free to contact us. So my email address is at google.com. Let me get my face out of the way. And so you can contact me, and we'd love to schedule a training with your newsroom or your journalism organization. And again, the next live training is going to be Thursday, May 28th at 11. I should say 11 Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern. So we'd love to see you. Also, if you're interested in more training, you can always go to the g.co/news training website. There's tons of resources here, topics like verification of news that is factual, and debunking information and disinformation, as well as visualization and data journalism. So we have just tons of resources there. You can even download a certificate when you complete a lesson. So check that out. It's just a real resource, and we hope you can continue to go to that source, because we're all trainings. So again, I wanted to say thank you for joining us, and we really appreciate you spending your Thursday with us. So thanks so much. Take care, and enjoy the rest of. Bye.